Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6:30. I would like to call the regular council meeting for Monday, June 9th to order. It's an honor to begin by acknowledging that we're gathered on the traditional territories of the Algonquin-speaking peoples, the Kasepsin and the Songhees nations, and we're grateful to work, live, and play in this special place. Item 2, may I have a mover and seconder to adopt today's council's agenda and receive the near and long-term agenda, please. Okay, Councillor Olson and Councillor Ward. Any opposed? Seeing none, I'll move on. Motion carries. Just the mayor's message. Just one thing, I don't know if everyone is aware. I think people on council all know this, that the Minister of Health visited us last Friday, and we met with her for the first hour at 10:30, and we talked about our medical facility here in Colwood. She was extremely pleased, and this is why she selected Colwood as the place to launch the whole recruiting for our healthcare workers from the U.S. It was an excellent meeting. We had an agenda where we were suggesting perhaps a different way to do a billing. After having about 4 months experience now, we had a suggestion on how we could make it a little bit better. And she absolutely said, let's see your proposal. So it was a good sign, but one stipulation that we were going to be the pilot if we were going to change this. So it was a really good meeting. As you know, she had announced over at our Colwood Medical Clinic that they are spending $5 million on recruitment of healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, mainly out of the U.S. I think the concentration was Washington, Oregon, and California. And we're lucky that we've got a doctor coming from Colorado. So it was sort of announced there too. In brief, like I said, what we've proposed to it, this new billing model, it's a lot more efficient and it's going to save a lot of money. Is the bottom line. So we're going to be working on that this week when we can. I'd just like to take this opportunity to express my thank you, because it was a whole team of people that helped get the presentation ready and just organize the whole event, and it went really, really well. So thank you everyone that was involved in this. It was really a big success. Now the hard work begins. Okay, I'm going to move on to item 4, which is the adoption, or item 3, which is the adoption and receipt of the minutes. May I have a mover and seconder for the adoption and receipt of the minutes under section 4.1 of the agenda? Okay, thank you, Grove and Ward. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. We'll move on to public participation. There were no written submissions that were received prior to agenda publications, but that can be argued because I found out about half an hour before this meeting that we in fact had some before, but they're in there now, and we have the 4 submissions that will be appended to the agenda, both on the agenda and on the website. So I'd like to thank the public for their written submissions. Unfortunately, I got some really late, so I wasn't able to read them all. And I think all that goes with all of us. We received them kind of late, and there was a bit of a screw up on that. No members of the public have registered to speak virtually, so I'll open the floor right now to people that are here. So members of the public will now be given an opportunity to present concerns or ask questions. Alternately, you may wait for the agenda item to be brought up and speak at that time. May I have a show of hands from anyone from the public who wish to speak later on? Oh, now? Okay, perfect. So I will start the process, please. James.
Hi, James Perry. Councillor Jordison, you suggested on social media that the members of the Planning and Land Use Committee were encouraged to be silent, as well as insinuated that public concerns were minimized and mischaracterized. As a member of the committee you chose to speak on behalf of, the only mischaracterization I see is yours. I even made a point of appearing at the next council meeting to make a statement about how the path forward is through debate in good faith with understanding about facts, including less assumptions, less conclusions, and less accusations. Unfortunately, it feels my message was not heard. In the same meeting, you chose to repeat the false claim that my voice was discouraged and followed it with some self-victimization and fanning the flames of emotion. So here I am again, wishing to remind everyone that we are looked to as leaders for the 22,000 people of Colwood, and I'm asking us all to consider the standards we hold ourselves to. Disagreement is normal, expected, and healthy. How we engage in times of disagreement is what can make or break us coming together to tackle the challenges we face. To be clear, I want a positive and constructive relationship with everyone here, but firm opposition should be expected against those types of practices. I appreciate you all for standing up to take a position in office to make this city a better place, and I believe you all have something to offer the people of Colwood. I apologize that I'm not able to stay. I have to put my children to bed, but I do appreciate the live streaming so that members of the public can stay informed the way they are. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate your audience.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Thank you. I'm here just to speak about the forest.
Do you mind if
by-
I get your name and?
Oh, sorry. I'm Jean Elliott, and I live on the corner of Allendale and Laren. I want to speak on the fact that you want to make this more expensive. As it is, the timing of when this originally came in was right about the time everybody should have been removing their trees in neighborhoods like mine. Now they're too large. Between the huge windstorms and the drought, there's a serious danger of these trees coming down on our houses. That's probably why you're having so many people applying to remove them. And I know myself, the minute I could afford to, I would be. It's already a pretty expensive endeavor because of having to replace trees, bylaw, fees to pay, and then of course the huge fee to get these trees removed. I know in my yard, the entire berm has come up quite a bit, and I've had to deal with that over the years because of the roots. And now my trees are well over 100 feet, and it's scary all winter long, and they will have to be removed. And I don't think that we need any more burdens put on the long-time residents of Colwood. We have, as you know from previous meeting, a whole lot of burden coming our way. So it'd be nice if we didn't add this one to that, because I've seen in the Allendale pit and where the new car wash is, 100 trees just be taken down. I haven't seen any replacements. The replacements I have seen in Colwood have been like boulevard trees, which great. We'd love to have boulevard trees in our yard now too, instead of these 100-foot trees that are just not sustainable, especially when you have developments coming in amongst the neighborhood and taking those trees out. And thanks for your time.
Thanks very much. I finally get to meet you, Miss Elliott. Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak at this time? Okay, at this point, I will end the public participation part, and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is delegations. We have the one presentation from the West Shore Rotary Club, Mike Reilly and Linda Mackie. Talk about the proposed West Shore outdoor pool project.
Thank you for having us again, Mr. Mayor. So, my name is Linda Mackie, and I am a local resident and parent and a small business owner here in the West Shore in Colwood. When my family and I moved to this region a few years ago, one of the first things we noticed was that there were no outdoor pools in the West Shore, well, in Victoria in general. And as someone who grew up with access to pools, public pools, I was surprised. And as a mom and community member, I saw how deeply this gap impacts our youth, our seniors, and our sense of community. So that's what sparked this initiative, and we are grateful to have presented to you a little while ago. And I'm proud to be working with the Rotary Club of the West Shore alongside residents, coaches, educators, and health advocates to help bring this project to life.
And good evening. I'm Mike Reilly. I'm the co-lead of the project, Colwood resident, and I'm the past president of the Rotary Club of the West Shore. And we wanted to come here tonight to give you a quick update on the outdoor pool project and how it's coming along. And we're thankful for the opportunity to come back again after a couple of weeks ago. Rotary, as you know, has a long history of backing transformational community projects, and this one is no exception. We're excited to share that we're looking to work with in collaboration with West Shore Parks and Recreation and the City of Colwood to bring this shared vision to life. Our goal is now to bundle an outdoor and indoor aquatic center together. Rotary would lead the development and fundraising of the outdoor pool, and the municipalities would spearhead the development of an adjacent indoor pool and community space under the West Shore Parks and Recreation banner. As we often say with our committee, if you have to dig one hole, you might as well dig two. So we're going to give you a quick update as to what we have with our comprehensive aquatic hub and with the intention to serve the region for decades to come.
Okay, I'll just briefly go over why this matters. I think it's fairly straightforward. But as we all know, the West Shore is one of the fastest growing regions in the province, but we're lacking core community infrastructure. So here's what we're hearing on repeat. Kids are being waitlisted for swim lessons. There's no outdoor cooling spaces during increasingly hot summers, besides the lakes. Seniors and people recovering from injury have few accessible aquatic rehab options. Youth need affordable, safe alternatives to screens and shopping malls. Families are desperate for local, low-cost, high-impact recreation. This project isn't just about a pool, it's about public safety, wellness, equity, and community building. The pool is more than just a recreation spot. It's about health, wellness, climate resilience, and giving youth and seniors the accessible public spaces they deserve. And I guess, yeah, these are some of the, I know I wouldn't call them complaints, but like just a lot of people are saying, oh, it's really hard to get into lessons, they're overbooked, there's no competitive swimming available, no outdoor cooling centers, and a lot of families are leaving the West Shore for aquatic access.
I think this is still you.
Oh, still me. So our vision is bold, but grounded in community, need, and possibility. Think of Kitts Pool in Vancouver. We believe the West Shore deserves its own version, thoughtfully scaled and styled to reflect our unique community. Picture a main Olympic-sized pool complemented by 2 additional pools for training and warm-up, potentially indoor, outdoor, or both. Our goal is to create an inclusive, multi-use, and sustainable outdoor pool, not as a burden on taxpayers, but as a community-powered legacy project. This facility would be entirely funded through the Service Club initiatives, government grants, and corporate sponsorships, with no new taxes required by municipalities. We also aim to establish long-term maintenance endowment, ensuring the pool remains financially supported for years to come. When paired with a future indoor facility under the West Shore Parks and Rec banner, this vision becomes more than just a pool, it becomes a regional aquatic hub for daily recreation, high performance training, community events, and resilience.
So where are we now? So back in October of 2023, we first approached council to bring the idea to you. And at that time, Colwood Council voted unanimously to support the hosting of an outdoor pool and committed to working with Rotary to move forward with a feasibility study. That work has not yet begun, but the intent is still there. In 2024, we convened a Rotary Pool Committee and brought in members of the community and began actively researching successful outdoor pool projects across North America. We've also begun presenting to additional councils and community groups to build broader support, including the Chosen and View Royal, where feedback was incredibly positive. In 2025, where we are now, our intention is to begin the feasibility study and put real numbers to this concept. The support we've seen has been incredible, from parents to professionals. The message is clear: this is long overdue. So based on early stage projections, is it that one? Look at you and your technology. The estimated total cost for the outdoor pool would be upwards of about $18 million. And that would include site prep and infrastructure, architectural design, construction and equipment, accessibility and environmental standards, admin staff, and operations launch. The immediate next step of such a feasibility study would be to help us confirm the suitable sites, create an early concept plan, refine cost projections, and build a foundation for grant applications. We estimate the study would cost between $10,000 and $20,000. More importantly, the funding model. As I stated in the last presentation, we expect that this would be, the outdoor pool portion would be something that we as Rotary in coordination with other community groups would be entirely funded through that efforts. So we're actively pursuing federal and provincial grants, including the Canadian Heritage Community Sport Infrastructure Program, the Canada Community Building Fund, institutional partnerships with local leaders in education, including Royal Roads, UVic, and Camosun College, Rotary-led fundraising driven by corporate sponsorships, local campaigns, and community-based charitable giving. A shared vision with municipalities where Rotary takes the lead on the outdoor pool and West Shore Parks and Recreation explores the indoor facility, which we all know is needed, creating a unified regional destination. Our goal is to build this without raising taxes, the outdoor portion at least, funded through grants, philanthropy, and strategic planning. It's a highly fundable project, but we need a concrete vision to start to actually bring that money in. And the feasibility study is the next key portion to go to institutional partnerships. So how can you support? We're not asking you to commit $18 million tonight or any night. We're asking for you to support the next steps, which are the endorsement of the vision and its intent, help fundraising or co-sponsoring the feasibility study, a willingness to join or support a regional working group or task force, and your voice as a leader, helping communicate this project's importance to others. Together, we can ensure this initiative reflects the region's values, forward-thinking, collaborative, inclusive, and sustainable. This project is about building something lasting, a gift for future generations. Thank you for your time and for being part of this vision. And now we'll entertain questions.
Thanks very much, Mike and Linda. Great presentation. I'll open the floor to council for questions. I just have a couple questions, Mike, right now. So the capital cost 12 to 18 million, you say, where does that number come from? Is that based on what the experiences over on the mainland are, or where does that number come from?
Yeah, over the last year, and of course, neither Linda nor I are pool development professionals, and we brought some people on to the committee who have had that experience. And based on other North American projects of similar size to what we envision, it would be around there. I mean, it's a hard number to put down without more detailed study. And of course, prices change and increase all the time.
Okay. And the operating costs are what's it approximately annually? Do you have an estimate of
About 500,000 a year.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's after you taken in revenue for the pool, I'm assuming.
Revenue will be part of that, and then with the endowment, we would be expecting to generate from the profits of the endowment would then fill in the rest of that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And your actual municipal funding model, is that so you're looking at contributions for the operating costs of this from all the municipalities then? Is that what I'm assuming, what you mean by that?
Well, if you're talking about the indoor pool project or the outdoor pool project?
The outdoor pool project.
So the outdoor pool project would remain as the Rotary funded pool project.
I understand.
But the intent, and this is what came from, that's the cool thing about bringing more people on, is decided that since we already were moving forward with this, why not leverage to something else that we know is also needed in the community at the same time. So while we'll take the responsibility of building the outdoor pool project, the ask is that the municipalities through West Shore Parks and Rec take on a new indoor pool, which would be adjacent to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Okay. I understand. And last question. Are you aware of what they're doing with the plan for Olympic viewers right now? What they're doing is they're proposing, the developer has been going all over the world, and they're trying to they want to build a big giant wave pool, a surfing pool. And they're really serious about this, spending lots of money going all over. Is that something that you can leverage, like with a surf pool and an outdoor pool work, or is it the outdoor pool and the indoor pool?
Yeah, well, since you spoke about it at the last meeting, it has prompted some thought about that. We haven't spoken to the committee, but I would never say no to an opportunity to use the enthusiasm of another opportunity to build and fill a hole full of water.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Mike. Counselor Jensen has a question.
Thank you. Did you guys get before the firm that's doing the master plan for the West Shore? They went out interviewing a lot of community groups, and I see some blank stares. So I'll
Well,
tell you what.
we've been at the visions for Langford and Colwood and encouraging members of the community to go out and ask for more pool time.
Yeah, specifically, there's a master planning process underway, spearheaded by West Shore Parks and Rec, and there's a firm that's conducting it for. I'll see if I can connect you guys because they were interviewing community groups galore. And there's no reason why you guys shouldn't at least connect with these people. I suspect it's going to happen organically when they come back and tell us we're short on pool resources. Well, I think there might be a love connection to be made there in that regard. So I'll talk to you on email. And that is it. Thank you.
Yeah, so you should be connect with Linda. She is the lead.
Thank you. That would be great.
Okay, that's all the questions. Thanks a lot, Linda
Thank you so
and
much.
Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, we'll move on to item 7, which is notice of motion. I'm doing this on behalf of Chief Irwin and our deputy chief. They're both away. They're both away. So just, I just put a little context and then I'll just read the motion here. This is going to be brought up for discussion on June 23rd, the meeting on June 23rd. A full report will be prepared by Chief Irwin and staff, and it will be attached to the agenda next week. So you'll see a little more about it. And so basically, quickly, what it is this bylaw was created well before we had regular fire or full-time fire crews. We all had at one time part-time, and it was this bylaw was created basically, from what I understand, was because they couldn't meet the times, and so there's a move afoot that where they wanted to make some amendments, but they found out if they make an amendment, then it makes it all null and void because of legislation in 2017. So let me just read it. It'll be, like I said, it will be up for discussion the next council meeting. So the motion is as follows. Whereas the city of Colwood has recently welcomed the Colwood Firefighters Association and Local 5420 of the International Association of Firefighters, and whereas the city is enhancing its fire protection services with professional IAFF firefighters, and whereas council wishes to review the building bylaw sprinkler provisions number 98 in light of these service changes. And whereas council wishes to explore opportunities to reduce construction costs for new homeowners while maintaining appropriate levels of public safety. Therefore, be it resolved that council directs staff to draft amendments to the building bylaw sprinkler provisions number 98, which we found out we can't do anyways, and prepare a report analyzing the original rationale for the sprinklers, sprinkler requirements, and service changes affect this rationale. Expected cost savings for new homeowners, potential impacts on fire safety, response times, and insurance rates, and approaches taken by other capital regional municipalities with career firefighters. And lastly, return the draft bylaw amendments and analysis to council for consideration within 60 days. This was part of the requirements that they had put in their service review. So it's nothing new. And that's all I have. And we'll move on to item 8, which is new business. Over to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Mayor Kobayashi, for this opportunity to seek direction regarding food trucks at the Lagoon Beach. The recommendation is to limit the scheduling of food trucks to one occasion in 2025 to continue the shift of commercial activity and large events away from Lagoon Beach to other city parks and public spaces in consideration of the growing number of eateries in Colwood. As you know, Colwood's beach food program began in 2016 before Colwood began to experience the significant growth evident in the city today. At that time, Colwood had very few food service options, and mobile food vendors were a way to expand the number of options for residents. The beach food program was also a way to showcase the Colwood waterfront, establish Colwood as a seaside community within the region, and draw the attention of businesses and restaurateurs, and attract visitors to the area. Since that time, the number of visitors at the Lagoon Beach has increased exponentially to the point where concerns have been raised about the impact of human activity on the sensitive environment at the lagoon. In addition, Colwood now has a growing number of local food service businesses at Colwood Corners and in the Royal Bay Commons, with more expected as Royal Bay and the Beachlands continue to develop, and the city advances the Gateway Vision Plan for Colwood Corners. Feedback from local business owners during Colwood's Household Prosperity Roundtables is that the restaurant industry in general is struggling, facing challenges, and Colwood businesses are feeling the pinch as well. A quick scan by the finance department shows that Colwood restaurants pay between $6,000 and $20,000 in property taxes. As a result, staff are proposing that the city shift the focus of commercial engagement away from the beach and toward activating public spaces adjacent to commercial areas where participants can visit the local retailers. So per council direction on April 14th, where council directed staff to proceed with coordination and implementation of 2025 planned events, continuing the 3-year shift away from the Lagoon Beach to the Beachlands and other city parks. We are proposing to limit it to one event this year at the beach. I'll leave it there for questions.
Thanks very much. I'll open it up. Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Sandra, for the report there. I'll be pretty direct. I'm opposed to this, very much so. I think there's a lack of data supporting this type of move. A lot of the support is anecdotal. It's based on feeling and not a lot of facts. Back when this was surveyed in 2022, I'd asked for the survey results because I recall it being a very popular idea at the time, and credit to Sandra, it very much was. 97.2% of people supported establishing a pilot program for mobile food vendors in Colwood. Of those individuals that were surveyed, there was roughly 60 people who took the time to actually document their response. Of those, 33 specifically referenced the lagoon or waterfront, not just Royal Bay, but lagoon or waterfront specifically. Of those 33, 30 were in favor of having food trucks and music at the lagoon, and 3 were against. So you have 50% of those 60 in favor of this and 5% opposed to it. So we don't have a new survey since that was done. And in the absence of that, I question why we would be making such a draconian move to kind of be the fun police of Colwood here. The waterfront is a very popular destination for a lot of people. I'm not sure that there's evidence to say that food trucks draw people. It's also a matter of convenience. You happen to be down there. I know it's been the case for me and for people I know. You're down at the beach. You're down at the beach. You get hungry. You go, hey, this is right here. Let's grab a snack. Let's grab a drink. Other people may well seek it out. I'm also concerned that we really don't have any hard evidence that there's an impact on local eateries. I mean, when you look at the locations of food and beverage in Colwood, if you were traveling from outside the region to go to the lagoon, you would have ample opportunity to stop at Colwood Corners. You could stop, if you're coming from Royal Bay, you could go there, and that's an individual choice. But to suggest that the food trucks down there are potentially drawing customers away from there is unsupported by any data at this point. And I think that's really the focal point of what I'm speaking about here, is that we're looking at making a very, very significant decision. We're effectively taking the central draw for a lot of residents in Colwood and closing it to a certain type of access that has proven to be very popular and was supported by data. And we're doing that based on sort of feeling. And I think at the end of the day, we owe it to, the 50% of respondents who said this was a great place to do it, to see if they feel that way again. So I would support going out to the public and conducting a survey to see if this is supported by fact. But otherwise, I can't support something that really is just grounded in, in emotion and potentially just reacting to the loudest voices in the room, so to speak. You've got a few people that are advocates for the bird sanctuary that say, oh, we shouldn't do this. Well, they're 5% in this survey. Do we listen to the 5% or do we give some credence to the 50 that may not be aware of this decision until they head down in Lagoon one day and just go, oh, there used to be food trucks down here. You wonder what happened to that. So anyway, I'll be voting no unless someone can convince me otherwise. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor Day.
Thank you. Always very divisive, trying to make any changes down at the Lagoon. It's a much loved area of Colwood, has been for as long as I've lived here, which is as long as Colwood has been incorporated. So it's been there for a long time. But one of the reasons why the Lagoon is so special to everyone within this region is because of the nature and the bird sanctuary that exists there, and the beautiful vista of the ocean and Mount Baker behind it. It's a pretty amazing place. And I'm not trying to make it so that you can't bring your picnic down to the beach or enjoy it with your family. But I really think that one food truck takes up quite a few parking spaces. I won't dignify it with a number because it's not that scientific. And the Lagoon is very much a very popular area with many, many people coming to enjoy it. Especially over the years, I have heard particularly from people with disabilities, because people with disabilities can actually park at the Lagoon and enjoy many aspects of the Lagoon without having to transfer out of their vehicle, which for people with disabilities can be very tiring and limiting to the number of things that you can do. So it's a great opportunity, whether you're elderly or infirm or simply have challenges. This can be a place that's really welcoming to you, and it's getting tighter. And there's been, since when I was first elected to council, actually there was a lot of McDonald's being brought down to the Lagoon, and the waste was creating a problem. And now we have over 50 garbage cans at Lagoon to deal with that. So it's been an evolution over time, but I think it's important to remember that the main draw is the nature and the scenery. And the food truck being there is rather incidental. I don't want to say they can never be there, but I do want to keep nature intact, if at all possible. And it's getting harder and harder to get natural places, to protect them, and to be able to sustain the wildlife that lives there. So I think it's a good mix that we offer other places for food trucks to be at, and that there's many opportunities for our local eateries to create baskets for the beach or any other type of amenity for people to do this, and it not just be that, gosh, those French fries smell good, may as well go over and get some. Let's make more room for nature. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jordison.
Thank you, Mayor. So I looked at that same survey. Thank you, Sandra, for sending that out. And of the 58 respondents, I went through it, and there were about, I think I wrote down that there were 27 people that actually mentioned the Lagoon. There were 3 that actually said no to it altogether, and then there were 28 that the Lagoon wasn't mentioned as a location. So I think, and I think that's great that people like having it down there, that sort of thing. But I think when we made this original motion, it was based on the fact that, well, from my understanding, the shifting events away from the Lagoon was intended to protect the sensitive bird sanctuary and reduce the roadway noise impacts. And with the beachlands identified as the site better suited for these events. So, the beachlands is meant to serve as a local, citywide and regional destination. It's supposed to be a destination site. So in future, the assumption I thought was that the home of community festivals and events would be ideal for that location. So, yeah, and I'm not sure where the Waterfront Stewardship Committee weighs in on this, where they state about. I've heard people come in and talk to council at public participation about the bird sanctuary or its migratories, yeah, and talk about it and say that that it's all this stuff that's happening down there is driving the birds away and that sort of thing. I don't know if we have any measurable indicators or what kind of indicators were being used to assess whether this 3-year transition is achieving its intended target or outcome. But yeah, so I had sent a recommendation to the recommendation to like an amended recommendation. But like to hear from everybody else first, I guess. But also, I just wonder what staff time goes into setting up and cleaning up down there, and what the cost is involved with that, if there's any information on that too. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Grove.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Part of the stated intention of the beach food program in the first place was to bring the world to our beach. And I would say the world now knows about our beach. And could we say maybe too many? I don't think that we need to consider that need any further. The surveys as they're drawn, I see that roughly half the respondents even live in Colwood. Is anecdotal by its very nature, not being a full-blown professionally engaged survey. I wouldn't take too much faith in it. The numbers are very low. It's interesting, but it's not a full-blown public forum, in my opinion. I think that the notes in the report regarding the effect on commercial businesses elsewhere in the city is important. As you all know, my wife and I bought Scandia Bakery in 1995, or sorry, in 1995. Holy cow! Anyway, from the bridge, the Black Railway Bridge in View Royal to our bakery, there were 6 places you could stop to just get coffee, just that much. If you wanted a full-blown meal, there was fewer. When the beach program was begun in 2017, our Friday afternoon business fell by 43%. And that's a documented financial result from our business. I don't have the paperwork to show you. It's not an audited situation, but I take my word for it, I guess. And we were happy. In fact, I was visited by staff and who mentioned it and was concerned. At that time, we supported it fully. Being a public park, we felt it should be busy. We thought that any activity down there would likely be a benefit to the city as a whole and to the residents of, and we're happy to see it. I was really we were both quite, my wife and I, quite moved by the fact that we would actually be considered to be asked what effect that may have on us. When I say drop by 43%, we're not talking the end of the world. We had a very successful business and it was busy. But the people that stopped for sandwiches and snacks and edibles to take down to the beach no longer did that. I suspect that today, with the plethora of franchise operators, all who are struggling, as many businesses are, would disagree with any notion that those food trucks are not competition. They certainly are, and they're paying hard business tax day in, day out. They have no choice about mobility. They can't, if things are slow on the beach, move to a different site next week or next month. So I'm also concerned of it is a migratory bird sanctuary, which deems it a natural setting. And we have a parks plan that focuses on that aspect and surviving the dunes and the grasses. The Camosun College students planted a lot of items down there some years ago. Don't know the details, but I know when the bridge knocked out there for 4 months, that park was spectacular. There were birds walking around everywhere. There were people walking everywhere. There were people in wheelchairs and scooters on the road. And the odd cars that did come down were able to move slowly and find their parking from either end when the middle was reopened. while the bridge was closed, they could park on our end of the washroom end. Based on all that and more, because I think we should, through our carbon action plan, we're trying to lower carbon. The generator's grinding away down there. The wind and sand in my burger, I don't know. I'm just so I support this very much. I think the program to move forward to leave the park a special natural place, even though it's heavily used, is the way to go. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jensen.
Thank you, Your Worship. Couple of questions, Sandra. I do recall, did we not define a spot or two that was there near the washrooms that was going to be for long-term food truck parking? Did that ever get across the finish line?
I think that was the intention of this study Councillor Ward referred to in 2020, was to give council data with which to determine whether we should establish a spot. Looking back at the report from at that time, it does look as though council endorsed the idea of a food truck permanently, and that an RFP would be drafted. I think that what happened was we incorporated that notion into the food trucks that we have been scheduling in the past years. So to me, it brought us in a circular spot to the same place.
As I recall, as you're talking, I think that we tried, and I don't think there was a lot of take up because they value their mobility as opposed to stationary. So thank you for that. And I see this, I've read this a few times, and it's a bit perhaps wishy-washy. The previous motion from 2024. Specifically, I agreed with it at the time as far as large scale events that draw a lot of people. I think that was intentional, and I concur with that. But now it just feels like we're going to an extreme where it's an absolute that, niet, you don't park your truck here ever. And yet I think we can split the difference. I value the real world experience from Councillor Grove without a doubt, and from Mayor Kobayashi as well, with their backgrounds. But, I don't see why we would say never or always for that matter. If someone does come forward, we've moved our events. We're still doing that. If someone comes forward and says, hey, I'd like to park my truck down there, can I buy a permit? I feel like it's something that we could probably absorb without impacting businesses for the occasional, not linked to an event. But if the Greek on the street wants to park down there on a sunny summer weekend, it is, I think, a net benefit to the people who go there. Certainly well used, so we can't say that the business model doesn't work for the area. And I think the impact, yeah, it's a couple of parking spots, but it is transient. It doesn't require any staff support other than the garbage pickup, which we're doing like twice a day in the summer months anyways. There's a lot there, so go ahead.
Yeah, if I may, thanks for that. I think that there's a lot of interest from food trucks to be at our beach. If we were to say, you may come when you would like to, we would have a lineup of food trucks 24/7. So there is staff time required, I think, to, permit, limit, schedule. What we found in the past is it's a double-edged sword. We were trying to limit in the past years to 3 food trucks, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What would happen was, I think we've had at council before, some squabbling. We're not getting scheduled enough, and then other times, dismay that food trucks were not showing up. So-and-so was supposed to be here and I wanted my burger, and so it is a bit of a challenging thing to manage as well. I offer that.
So thank you, and I appreciate your candor and that perspective, because I certainly don't want to create a mammoth amount of work for people, and then next thing you know, we're having to hire more staff. I will yield, Your Worship, and have a think.
Okay, thanks very much. Councillor Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep this quick because everybody has spoken quite a bit. And I agree with a lot of the points. I disagree with a lot of them as well. But I think just from my perspective, I understand the desire to shift the events, specifically away from the lagoon. And I think we can all agree that was the right move. But I do look at the food trucks very differently than the events. And so, you know, I think that I have a hard time with this as well. And I think that the food trucks, you know, even having one food truck a week is leaving much less of a footprint than an entire community coming down in the summer and enjoying the beach space. So I look at it differently. I don't see it as competition with the brick and mortar. I really don't. I think it's a destination. So when people they're planning their day, they're planning to come down to the beach to enjoy some lunch because there's a specific food truck there. And so, I mean, as long as we're welcoming people to the lagoon to enjoy that space as a, you know, a community space, I personally don't see the issue with it. I know Councillor Ward had suggested potentially a motion. So I will look over to him to see if he's got something up his sleeve, which I'm sure he does, but I just wanted to express my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I guess I'll be the last one to speak and then we'll go second round here. The reason I support this motion. So this is personal experience, and I can tell you that. I used to own a sandwich shop on Colwood Corners. I didn't want to own it, but I owned it. Now, I didn't keep data, but I can tell you one thing, and this is a fact. The fact is that we used to have these things called box lunches. You remember those, Marcy? Box lunches. And they were big sellers. The people would buy the box lunches. They're all contained, put the garbage back in it, and easily disposed. And they used to pick them up. And then we noticed one thing. So we did compromise because I remember coming to you here as a citizen and then as a counselor being against them because I said, you know what? I'll tell you something right now. I know exactly how much I was contributing to the owner of the mall. My taxes were $6,400 a year. And I said, you know, if you can find some way of saying that those trucks pay some portion of that so it's equivalent, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But I think the compromise was that we're going to just do these for events. You know, your eats and beats. We all bit the bullet. We said we'll do it. But I can tell you that it did affect us. Our box lunches went down less than 50, almost over 50%. And whenever those food trucks were there, I can tell you that flatly. So the other big thing that I want everyone to consider, not only are you paying, are they actually contributing to the city in their taxes? We're employing a lot of people. We had 14 employees. They're all locals. How many people does a food truck? How many locals does a food truck employ? So these are real factors that I want to bring into this because we did. So we created more people spending more money in Colwood in actual fact. So I just thought I'd bring that perspective. You know, I mean, the compromise was the events. Yeah, do what you got to do, Colwood. We'll support that. And I can tell you, I was also the president of the Chamber of Commerce. And it wasn't just me that was moaning. It was all the, you know, the few Colwood restaurateurs that we had at the time. There's a big difference now. I mean, we're 5-6-fold what we used to have back in our days. We had monopoly actually, but today it's a lot different. And that's an important group. If we were to do a survey, that's an important group to have a buy-in from right now. Because remember, you don't want to tank them. There's some of them are struggling right now, just right here in Royal Bay. So that's why I support this. You know, it's all from that perspective. That's my perspective of it right now. It's great. I'm not saying this is a bad thing for the public. You know, it's great for the public, but you know, it's got to respect our local businesses. We keep on saying we want to support local business. Well, this isn't supporting our local business. Anyways, that's the only points I want to make here. And I'll go to Councillor Ward for the second time.
Well, I can clearly see the writing on the wall on this one, so I won't belabor it. But, you know, when you said it's great for the public, but not for local business, well, the public are who we represent as well. And I think this is an amenity for the public. I vehemently disagree with the notion that enjoying nature precludes any other access to amenities. I mean, I've been to some beautiful parks in the world. Flitless Park in Croatia, a World Heritage Site where there's food service right there. Glacier National Park in Montana, food service right there. Does it diminish globally sought after nature experiences? No, not in any way, shape, or form. It's a value add for people that go there. I think what's concerning me is that there's a lot of anecdotal conversations and comments about, well, this was the impact, and maybe it did impact the sandwich shop. Maybe there was other factors involved. Maybe it affected the bakery. Maybe it didn't. Um, we don't have data, like hard data. These are all people's opinions right now that we're throwing out here. Councillor Grove, you questioned the survey, said the numbers are low, we can't take it serious, but yet the vast majority of people who referenced the Lagoon did so deliberately and said this would be a great place to do it. If there were 30 people or 27, as Councillor Jordison said, sitting in these chambers today.
Point of order. Go ahead. Councillor Day, your point of order, please.
Thank you. My point of order is that we're supposed to be discussing the issue, not the people around the table. So could we please just focus on the issue and not talk about
I'm
who said
speaking
what?
to some comments made by Councillor Grove. He specifically referenced the surveys. Your point of order is out of order.
Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna make a ruling on this. I feel comfortable with what you're saying right now. I'm okay, I'm listening right now, so I will overrule you. If anyone wants to challenge me at the table here, they certainly can. No?
Thank you. I will continue.
please.
And it's not an affront on Councillor Grove. He made a very specific comment that the numbers for the survey were low. And I'll paraphrase you, Councillor Grove, that you felt that maybe the survey numbers weren't reflective of popular opinion, if that's a fair way to say it. And I suspect that, again, that's an anecdotal view. We don't know what popular opinion is unless we go out and survey the public. So if those 27 or 30 people were in the chambers today, all standing up and saying the Lagoon is a great place, I know that that would have an impact based on my previous experience, my lived experience at this table. So I believe we need data before we push ahead with a fundamental change to our waterfront. If you were to ask real estate developers in Royal Bay and elsewhere if we still need to draw people to Colwood, I suspect they would tell you, yes, we do. Sales are not what they once were. They're hanging around a lot longer. So there could be a wide variety of opinions, and frankly, none of us know what that is until we find it out. So I was going to propose a motion to conduct a survey of the public and of local food service operators in the Colwood Corners and Royal Bay area to assess if they felt food trucks were, a hindrance to their operation, and if the public feels that food trucks have value at the Lagoon. I'll park it for the moment because I don't know if there's any point putting that on the table, but that's what I was thinking of putting forward to get some real information.
I'll come back to you, Councillor Ward, on that. I'll let Councillor Jordison speak for the second time. Go ahead, Councillor Jordison.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we have heard from the Waterfront Stewardship Committee and other environmental groups about the the environmental impact and to the bird sanctuary and that sort of thing. And I think that's why we originally made this a priority for council to suggest moving it from the Lagoon. And I think sometimes listening to the public is definitely a priority and it's really important, but sometimes we have to make hard decisions based on facts about, what's really best here. We're not saying that the food trucks can't operate on any of the other 200 sites that we have, and we're not saying you can't stop by and pick up food from the food truck and take it down to the Lagoon. But this is a cost to staff, and it's staff time to clean up after it. And I'm just not sure it just doesn't make sense to me. I really liked how we had voted to continue moving this to the destination space that we're all been told is supposed to be the beachlands. So I do have a recommendation that I sent in to staff prior that I was hoping to bring up, suggest to move.
We'll go back here.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Grove for the second time.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the drop in sales is not an opinion, it's an actual recorded fact. We have the numbers that are tied to the days the food trucks are open and not the days that we weren't. The documentation is buried in a box somewhere in my basement, and I'm not going to dig it out, but that's what I will say. I would like to look back from the food truck issue for a moment and think about the fact that the waterfront is a park. It's a special place. It's a gem. We all agree. It's a migratory bird sanctuary designated as such in 1931. It's got an historical life. It's a rare, globally, piece of real estate. To have a naturally occurring waterfront in an urban setting apparently is only approximately 3% of the world's shoreline in urban settings is not hardened. This is a very special place. It's not just another park. It's not just another tourist trap destination. It's not anything but a gem that needs, in my opinion, to be protected the best we can. I think that the food trucks, in some sense, violate that sense of natural protection, whether it's the eelgrass that's growing, the dunes themselves, or it's the bird life that is disturbed. I don't know the facts, but if you take a dog onto a beach on a leash, birds within, I don't know if it's 200 meters, change their behaviors because of the presence of that dog. Never mind the dog. If a human appears, the same thing happens. This is a migratory bird sanctuary, implying that it is designed to protect those creatures. So if we are to maintain the integrity of the specialness of that park, I think we need to tread lightly as we can. It certainly should be accessible. I'll also mention that when I grew up, I understood parks to be a destination to which you are certainly encouraged, and everybody did, take a blanket and a cooler, and they would take their picnic with them. They would find a spot and lay it out. I can still not think of myself ever going to a park because there was poutine available. The notion of being in a park is for running and playing with the children and hunting and seeking out stones and shells and pieces of wood that they throw in the water and watch it come back, and the water rippling in can tickle their toes. The sand is an enjoyment. They build sand castles. They build wooden structures. We play. You can fly kites. You could play bocce if you want. I don't think people do that down there, but you could, I guess. But the activities around that spit, if you don't go down there and don't see someone with a special camera taking photography, doing photography, or indeed even doing some plein air painting, it's rare. And these activities are all very amenable to what that geographic location is already there for and has been for presumably centuries. I think that that's what I would like us to hang on to. And I think that at the base of it all, if someone forgets their picnic, if somebody suddenly needs a hot dog mid-afternoon on the beach, skip the dishes, we'll find you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Day for the second time.
Thank you. I wanted to move the recommendation, but when Councillor Jordison had a motion she wanted to bring forward, you said we were holding off, but I believe we usually only speak twice. So if I'm making a motion, is not now the time?
Speak twice on the issue and then someone can make a motion. I think Councillor, to be fair, I think Councillor Ward was the first one with the motion. No, you're fine? Okay. So I'll let Councillor Olson and then I'll come back to you,
Okay.
Councillor Jordison, for the motion. Okay. Councillor Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief. I just wanted to comment with respect to what David was saying about food at the beach. And it's funny because I do chair the waterfront and he's the vice chair. We have different opinions sometimes, and that's okay. To me, I don't see a difference between having one food truck at the lagoon versus all the cars and people down there parking. It doesn't make sense to me in my brain. And when I was young, growing up and going to the beach, I remember the Kiwanis Club used to have food stands everywhere. There was always food, was always a part of that experience. It was French fries, deep fried French fries and burgers and hot dogs. So I just wanted to, I think that that is an important element of, you know, being down there, being with family, finding stones, going on treasure hunts, you know, and having a taco. Like I'm really struggling with, again, just the difference between one food truck and all the cars that are parked there currently. And we're talking about right now, what the lagoon looks like right now and how we're using it right now. And so I just wanted to get my point across. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to you, Councillor Jordison, please, for the motion you want to recommend.
Sorry, yeah, and the motion is not, it's just expanded to kind of just explain why the original motion is fine. It's just it's missing the environmental sensitivity. So the recommendation is that council directs staff to schedule food trucks at Lagoon Beach on only one occasion in 2025 as part of the continued shift of commercial activity and large-scale events away from the lagoon to the beachlands and other city parks and public spaces, taking into account both the environmental sensitivity of the Esquimalt Lagoon, migratory bird sanctuary, and the growing number of local eateries in Colwood.
Okay. Do I have a second? Okay, Councillor Day seconds. Open for discussion. I just have one quick question. This may be a stupid question. I'm sorry, Sandra, but don't we already have it for one day in 2025 down at the beach?
Based on the council recommendation on April 14th of this year, yes, the event plan that council endorsed includes one occasion at the beach in August this year with food trucks.
Right, so what's the purpose of this motion then? I'm sorry. I'm missing something.
So that didn't explicitly say that we should not schedule the regular beach food program. And that's the piece that I really need direction on to confirm the council wants to move away from that regular program all weekends.
Oh, okay, I understand now. Sorry. Thank you for the clarification. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, oh, whoops, Councillor Ward.
Well, I don't care if I fall flat on my face, but I'll propose an amendment that we conduct a survey of the public and of local eateries in Colwood to get real data versus personal bias and anecdotal evidence. You can leave the last part off.
Could I offer some additional information just to remind council? So we are doing a state of biodiversity study that will come to council in the fall. And so that is an impact assessment of human activity on Esquimalt Lagoon. So it will be perhaps better than a survey. It will be a technical assessment by professionals that are looking at the activity, at human impact, the various activities taking place on the lagoon and advising on its impact. It is also funded and supported through the Parks Canada National Urban Park piece that we are reviewing. And as part of that, the intention behind the National Urban Parks is when designation is achieved, there is an expectation that that will draw even more people towards Colwood's waterfront. And so understanding the impacts of increased human activity is top of mind for all the work currently being planned, or the ideas that are emerging around the waterfront and development along that bird sanctuary. So there will be more information for council in the fall. I guess Sandra needs guidance on this summer, knowing that there will, of course, be opportunities to revisit action and direction in a future time.
Thank you. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I would amend that. I would amend the amendment, go back and restate it, that I would propose to defer this recommendation from staff until such time as staff provide the report referenced by Jasmine. That we can actually make a decision based on data, not feelings. Thank you.
So this won't be finished till the fall though, right? This is my understanding.
Yes, I believe that we're working. We were hoping July, but I would say probably with confidence in the fall.
Which doesn't do us any good right now, right? Because Councillor Ward, sorry about that, Councillor Ward. So it's not going to be completed till the fall, so it's not going to do much good then. Over to you.
Respectfully, Mayor, I disagree. When you say it wouldn't do much good, it doesn't do much good for those who
For this year.
who would seek to end
No,
the program this year.
What I'm talking about is this year.
Yeah,
Because
and
I
I'm
have-
talking about this year too. I would say the status quo should be maintained until such time as we have data that supports either changing it or maintaining it. In the interim, we are making it as an uneducated decision based on a lack of data. We are just talking about feelings around this table. We aren't talking about any kind of actual impact study. We're not talking about an economic impact study on the restaurants. We're not talking about public survey. We don't have any data. We had more data in 2020. Today, we're just talking about feelings. So I will maintain the motion that I had, well aware that it will likely fail, but that's
just quickly
price of
over-
principle.
Over the corporate officer, please.
My apologies to interrupt. I just wanted to let you know that there is a motion on the floor. When there is a motion on the floor, we can't do a motion to defer. So it would have to be a secondary motion that you would be making. It can't interrupt a motion on the floor as per the procedure bylaw, just so you know. Thank you.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any other discussion? Oh, Councillor Jordison, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I think there's a bit of confusion. Our finances have supported moving to one truck for 2025, from what I understand. How many trucks did we have last year, Sandra?
Last year, we scheduled trucks on every Saturday and Sunday, and it was 2 or 3 trucks each day.
Okay, so your reason for suggesting to one occasion this year is just to follow through with what was asked? Okay, and then due to, like, financially, have we budgeted for more trucks than just like one occasion? Are we?
I'm not sure how you mean budgeted. Do you mean the revenue from permit fees that we receive from trucks?
Yes, sorry.
So we will continue to host food trucks at the other Music in the Park events around the city. So we'll continue to collect permit fees from them. And we will have the Eats and Beats beach party at the Beachlands, where we will have 12 or 14 food trucks and gather revenue from them. So it will be about a $2,000 difference this year, going with what was previously approved by council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Grove.
I think informed feelings are particularly powerful. I think emotion is the compass of council. I think we have enough to make this decision.
Thank you very much. Can you put the motion back up on the screen, please? Okay, this is the motion on the floor right now. No other discussion. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And opposed? Councillor Wilson and Councillor Ward are opposed. Okay, motion carries. We'll move on. Okay, bylaws. Mairi, where is she? There she is. You're going to talk to us about the amendments to the urban forest bylaw before we have first and second and third reading.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to start with just a brief preamble to the bylaw that is in front of you tonight. Primarily just noting that this is bringing forward an item in advance of a more wholesome review of our bylaw, which is a deliverable of the urban forest strategy that staff have been working on for a number of years. That strategy is a very comprehensive review of the regulations that we have in place. We have been very open to council every time the matter of tree removal comes up as part of development applications, with the fact that the current bylaw it's not protecting trees, it's merely outlining the process through which you go about removing trees. So the designation of a protected tree is a definition of when and if you are wanting to remove one of these trees that are defined as protected. There is a process and a fee associated with that removal. So we have been very upfront with council about the deficiencies on our current bylaw in terms of helping us retain urban canopy. we do expect a more wholesome review, as I said, and a whole revamp of that bylaw to emerge out of the urban forest strategy, and that will be coming to council in the fall as well. But for now, we're putting forward housekeeping amendments to the fees so that our fees at a minimum reflect numbers that are comparable to neighboring municipalities. And I will leave it for Mairi to go in more detail on the proposed amendments.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you. So the purpose of this evening is I'm going to present to you 3 amendments to the urban forest bylaw and the rationale for those amendments. These amendments are supported by a number of policies within the strategic plan and the OCP. So just getting into a bit of background. So tree permits are our most frequently submitted application type. Last year in 2024, they took up 50% of the total applications that we received. As Jasmine just mentioned, the urban forest bylaw as it stands right now is relatively permissive. That suggests that it is fairly easy to remove a tree within the city of Colwood. The amendments that we are proposing this evening are consistent with the draft urban forest strategy and some of those recommendations in that draft. Staff really wanted to just bring these amendments forward ahead of the busier summer and fall seasons, which is when we see an uptick in tree permits. So we can really just reap the benefits of higher fees. So getting into the actual amendment. So the first amendment this evening is to update the application fee. So right now, currently the application fee is $75 to cut or remove 1 tree, and then an additional $25 for each additional tree up to 5. And then it's $200 when you're removing more than 5 trees. So staff are proposing to change the structure of the application fee and permit fee to just a standard $100 application fee. This is generally aligned with fees in other municipalities, and it's really just meant to simplify the fee structure. The second amendment is to update the security.
Do you want us to ask questions on each amendment, or do you want
Sure.
to to the end? Can you go backwards and sorry. So I just want to clearly understand this. It's not a graduating fee structure. It's just $100 flat fee, right? That's what I read. I just wanted to make sure I understood that clear. Great, thank you. Yes, please. Oh, Cynthia, Councilor Day, sorry.
Thank you. I just wanted to know, with the changing the fee to $100, is that $100 per tree? So if you have 5 trees to remove, it's $500?
No, it would just be a standard $100. Doesn't matter how many trees you're removing.
And are you still proposing replacement trees?
Yes, there has been no change to replacement trees.
And I'm just wondering, because of the difference between taking down 1 or taking down 5 trees, there was a different replacement number of trees. Has that changed?
No, that has not changed.
Okay, and I guess I'll save my question for your next slide.
Councilor Jordison?
Thank you, Mayor. I just had one question. Does it matter what age of the tree, what the age of the tree is, or the size of the tree, or the type? Is it just all a blanket fee regardless?
Yeah, so this is just an application fee. So it's really just an administrative fee from our perspective. The effort from staff does not necessarily change depending on the number of trees being removed. And because we're increasing the fees for security and cash in lieu, we wouldn't be losing out on much.
Thank you.
Councilor Jensen?
I think my answer may come soon here, but do you have data on how many of those applications are multi-treed? Like, I mean, are we going to lose thousands of dollars because everybody wants to cut 5 or more trees down, or?
The majority of our tree permits are just a single tree. Yeah, just on single family residential lots.
Okay, thanks. Just move on. Amendment 2.
Okay, so getting into amendment number 2, which is to update the security for replacement trees. So currently the security with the city of Colwood is $250. As you can see from this table, we are one of the lowest fees for security. So essentially somebody will come in and apply for a tree mark permit to remove a tree. Replacement trees are required. And then the city requests a security, which provides assurance to us that the tree will be replaced. So essentially, the resident will remove the tree and then they submit a picture of the tree that was replanted. And then they need to submit another picture a year later that demonstrates that the tree is planted and doing well. And then the city will return that security. So right now that sits at $250. The idea there is that if the tree was not replanted, that the city can use that money to replant trees elsewhere. However, the fee being placed at $250, that is not consistent with the actual cost of a tree and the cost to plant a tree. So that's why we are suggesting to increase the security to $750 to align with other municipalities and just better represent the cost of a tree.
Okay, Councillor Day, I see you. Councillor Day.
Thank you. I'm just wondering why we chose the $750 fee, which doesn't, whereas View Royal and Majosen are both at 120% of the replacement cost and maintenance for a year. It just seemed like the maintenance may be more of a cost burden where a tree is not replanted.
So I think just having a standard fee like that, it just simplifies the process and simplifies the implementation process. It is important to note that the security for $750 is per replacement tree.
Okay, great. And so if you replace, if you take out a tree and don't replace it, you're putting, I think it's 3 back. So you would have to give a deposit of 3 times 750. Okay, that's good to know. Just because I was concerned about our costs further down the line. Are you going to be doing some tracking of the numbers and the costs so that future amendments will be easier?
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you.
Councillor Grove.
Thank you, Mayor. I just asked this now only because I think we're talking replacement trees. I'm concerned that what we know about replacement tree equivalents in terms compared to mature trees, in terms of the carbon sequestration and climate resilience, and how that 2-to-1 replacement, I know it's not in this, but how that may affect the consideration of the price. Is there any answer to that, or is that something that could be added to a replacement tree ratio discussion?
I think we expect to see that type of recommendation out of the urban forest strategy, where we are leaning on the advice of a professional that has reviewed the bylaw more in depth. I think for us, this is a stopgap measure, knowing that the summer is where we see the biggest number of permits. And we know that our fees structure is deficient. So we're not in any way, shape, or form saying that there won't be or couldn't be a consideration of a different structure if the strategy provides further advice on it. We're simply doing housekeeping amendments to at least meet what we consider to be the standard of the region, kind of rates that are more in keeping where you, if you want to get a tree removal permit in Sydney or Saanich or View Royal, that you are expected to pay somewhat of a similar fee. We currently are very low, $250 for a tree. I think it's hard to even find them at the nursery at that price. The type of trees that we're looking for, the certain height, the certain caliper. So we're just trying to recognize that $250 is too low. It's $750, the ultimate amount. We'll hope to see more recommendations and advice from the strategy and the wholesome review that we expect in the fall.
May I?
Oh, please go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that the higher fee structure would certainly discourage cutting trees, which I think is part of the motivation behind the whole plan, the strategy. So we could expect perhaps an opportunity to discuss and debate the ratio aspect going forward. And I just think that the climate action plan, the drive to reduce carbon in Colwood would speak to that aspect quite well too. So otherwise, I think this is good. Anyway, I don't want to take more time. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a quick question for me. So 120% of total replacement costs, is that equivalent to $750 then?
We would have to rely. I think the challenge with that, the statement or the way in which it's calculated is that every year we would probably need to reset the amount and kind of recalibrate what does that mean for this year. Generally speaking, we're encouraged to be quite transparent on the amount that we're going to be charging. So general statements like a replacement cost, then we're going to be relying on a cost estimate that will need some review by staff to gain some sense of comfort that the amount is adequate, and we would need to add that work.
You've answered my question. That's perfect. But I can see why you want to set it to an amount to do the percentage. Wow, what a monster to administer. Oh my goodness. Okay, thank you. You want to move on? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and next is the final amendment, which is to update the cash in lieu. So currently our cash in lieu is set at $250. So cash in lieu is an option with discretion by the director if there was not enough space essentially on a property to accommodate trees that had to be replanted. So we're recommending to increase the cost of the cash in lieu from $250 to $750. Fairly similar rationale to the security. Just we want to be more in line with the actual cost of a tree. And then the staff recommendation this evening is that the urban forest bylaw amendments be considered for first, second, and third readings. And then council can choose to request additional information, deny the amendments, or another option is selected by council. Thank you.
So, corporate officer, do we need a motion just to approve the amendments first, and then the motion for the first and second, third reading
No, you just need to do first, second, and third reading.
based on the
The
recommendations?
bylaw that's attached.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Oh, oops, Councillor Jensen was before you, and then Councillor Day.
Thanks. I support all that. That sounds great. The question I had, and I'm sure it's in the overall bylaw itself, not these amendments, but I take it if it's a tree that poses a danger or anything like that, we're not going to hang on to $750 when they come in asking to cut it down. I mean, I guess the question is, are there exceptions that to these general rules?
Yes, there are. So that would be in the main body of the urban forest bylaw. We're just amending Schedule A, which is the fee schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Day?
Thank you. I think it's great that we're having this quick update in advance. We do want to do as much as we can possibly do to try to retain more tree canopy. One thing that just constantly comes up for me, though, is a tree is not a tree is a tree. Because you take out, a tree that's this big, and we're basically, I believe, replacing them, 3 to 1, but there's no calculation in terms of, how soon we start to capture the same amount of carbon. That might require a larger number of trees to be growing to do that, or a different species of tree, or there's a lot of variables. So I really would like to try to hear from that carbon budget point of view for our tree canopy when we're looking at our next update. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I particularly like the cash in lieu amendment. I think that takes us in the right direction, that there's no sort of easy out on planting replacement trees and simply kind of buying your way out of it at a discount. You've got to really now, the equation's balanced. So I think that's a great move. With that, I'd be prepared to move the staff recommendation on this, Mr. Mayor.
And the first, second, third reading then.
Yeah.
Okay,
For
perfect.
second, third.
Seconder for that, please. Councillor Jordison. Discussion? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. And we get to 9.2, and this will be an easy one. Over to you, Jen.
Thank you, Mayor Kobayashi. The purpose of the amendment to the purchasing power delegation bylaw is simply to update the named staffing positions. So that is before you for consideration. And I would like to make mention that the assistant fire chief position will of course remain a named position as it is currently. It's not reflected on this amendment, but it is intended to be. So that would be coming in as position B. Happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Questions? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please? Okay. Councillor Grove, Councillor Jensen, seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Motion for adjournment, please. Thank you. Councillor Ward and Councillor Jensen. Any opposed? Thank you very much, everyone, for attending.